Ancient Rome didn't have Netflix. They had the arena. And if you think your 9 to 5 is bad, imagine your career ladder involving a 10% survival rate and a diet of strictly beans. From being sold as a novitius to becoming the editor who controls the whole show. This is your life as every gladiator rank. Level 1, novitius. You are property now. One of thousands sold through schools like this one every year. To the man who bought you, you're not a person. You're a high-risk investment. Like a crypto bro buying a bored ape, he's just hoping you don't crash and burn on your first day. He will, but only once you're worth something. This morning you swore an oath to the gods of the underworld to endure burning, chains, flogging, and death by the sword without complaint. You said the words out loud. The school owner watched your face as you said them. He's watched a lot of faces say those words. He knows what each expression means. Your cell is 9 feet wide and 13 feet long. You share it with one other man. You sleep on the floor. There is a small window near the ceiling that lets in light for 2 hours each afternoon. That's all the sky you'll see most days. You don't touch a real weapon for weeks. Just a wooden post buried in the practice yard and a blunt wooden sword. You hack at it until your arms give out. Then you do it again. The trainer watches from the shade and says nothing unless you're doing it wrong. When he speaks, it's to correct you before the mistake becomes habit. The food is barley and beans. Every single day. They call you a hordiri, a barley man. You aren't getting shredded. You're getting fat. The school physician isn't checking your pulse to be kind. He's making sure you have a thick layer of insulation over your muscles. Why? Because in the arena, a sword slash that looks spectacular and bleeds everywhere for the crowd might just hit fat instead of your vital organs. You're being turned into a human shield for yourself. Around you are slaves, condemned criminals, and a handful of men who walked in voluntarily and signed contracts. Volunteers who convinced themselves this was a choice. You don't understand them yet. Some days you think you do. The money, the fame, the escape from poverty. And then you look at the cell wall and stop understanding again. You haven't fought anyone yet. You're not sure which outcome you're hoping for. Level 2. Tiro. You finished training. Today is the last day you're a student. Tomorrow, you fight in the arena for the first time. The trainer assessed you weeks ago and chose your type. You're a heavy fighter now. Large rectangular shield, short stabbing sword, heavy crested helmet. Another man across the yard was chosen as a net fighter. Almost no armor, built entirely around speed. You've been kept on opposite sides of the school for a month. You're going to fight each other someday, and the school doesn't let potential opponents train together until the lots are drawn. Tonight the school feeds you well. Barley and beans, same as always, but more of it. The physician checked your shoulder this afternoon and pressed along the muscle until you winced. He wants you healthy. You understand that. You are worth more walking into that arena on your own legs than carried in. The danger in the first fight isn't the opponent. It's that you freeze. Because the roar of 50,000 people hits you all at once and your body forgets everything the trainer drilled into your hands and feet and shoulders. The man who shared your cell for the first 2 months, a Gaul named Cato, fought 3 weeks ago. He didn't freeze. He's dead anyway. You lie in your cell and stare at the ceiling. You don't freeze. That's what you tell yourself. Level 3, Quartus Palace. You survived the first one. You don't remember most of it clearly. There was the tunnel, then the light, then the noise. A wall of sound that hit you like something physical. Your opponent was another first-timer and you both fought like it. Sloppy, burning energy on nothing, circling too wide, striking too early. Somehow you landed the finishing blow. The crowd called for his life to be spared. You stood over him for a moment, and then the trainer was pulling you back and the sand was very bright. You walked out with a palm branch. For one moment, something happened in your chest that you hadn't felt before and haven't been able to name since. Now you're ranked. 4th tier. The lowest rung. You don't advertise it. Nobody at this level does. Gladiators in the bottom ranks go quiet when their rank comes up in conversation, the way men go quiet about debt. The top-ranked fighters sit at the far end of the dining hall. They carry themselves differently. They know the crowd knows their names. You have a record now. 1 fight. 1 win. The trainer tells you nothing about your next opponent. You're not supposed to know until the lots are drawn and the program is posted on the city walls. You spend the days between fights running, drilling, hitting the post until your forearms burn. You go back to the post and keep hitting it. Level 4. Tertius Palace. 4 fights. 3 wins, 1 loss. The loss was the 3rd fight. You made a mistake with your shield arm, dropped it half an inch too early coming out of a pivot, and his sword found the gap beneath your armpit. The cut ran 5 inches along your ribs. You went down. The crowd voted to spare you. The school owner wasn't pleased. A dead gladiator triggers the penalty payment from the game's organizer. A defeated gladiator who lives just costs money to heal. You're 3 tiers from the top. Lying in the infirmary gives you time to think about that. You know the names of the men above you. You've watched them train. Not officially, but you find ways. The top-ranked fighter in your category is a Gaul named Brennus. He's been here 11 years, fought 42 times, lost 7, and earned a private cell at the end of the second corridor. When he walks through the practice yard, the new recruits move out of his way without being asked. Nobody told them to. They just do. The physician spent an hour with you after that. He stitched the wound in layers, deep tissue first, then skin, and told you exactly which muscles to rest for 30 days. He knows more about your body than you do. He's kept more broken men fighting than you've watched fight. You share your cell with a man from Cappadocia who cries at night when he thinks you're asleep. You've stopped pretending not to hear him. Level 5. Secundus Palus. The crowd knows your face now. 9 fights, 7 wins. 1 loss. The one where that blade opened your ribs back in fight 3. You can still feel the jagged scar whenever you take a deep breath in the dark. You also have 1 draw. A fight the editor stopped when neither man would yield after 20 minutes. Both walked out with palm branches, which felt like nothing because it also felt like failing twice at once. After the 7th win, a woman in the upper tiers threw a piece of cloth down toward the sand. The man beside you in the holding corridor said it happens sometimes with the popular ones. He said it like it was nothing. It wasn't nothing to you. You still have the cloth. You don't think about why you kept it. Your record moved you to a better cell. Still stone. Still small. But your own. No one cries through the wall at night anymore. Or if they do, the walls are thick enough that you can't hear it. The trainer uses you differently now. He has you demonstrate footwork and shield angles for the new recruits. You show them the weight distribution. How to read where a blow is coming from by watching the shoulder, not the hand. How to make a retreat look like a setup. You know what you're teaching them. You're teaching them how to survive long enough to be worth fighting properly. You've learned the arithmetic of this place. Wins by comfort. Comfort is the closest thing to freedom available here. Not freedom, just more distance from the floor. You don't think about actual freedom much anymore. Thinking about it costs something you can't afford to spend on something you can't control. Level 6. Primus Palus. They call you by name now, not your slave name, your arena name. First rank. The top fighter of your type in the school. 60 men here. You stand above all of them in your class and everyone knows it. From the school owner down to the recruit who arrived last week and already has your record memorized because someone told him on his first day. The school owner brings visitors now. Senators. The occasional general. Once a man who said very little and whose guards stood too close. They come to watch training. You perform for them without looking like you're performing. That's part of the rank. You're not just a fighter anymore. You're an asset being shown to people with money. Your fights are the headline. The fight posters painted on city walls before every games day list your name near the top. People plan their attendance around you. The school owner told you this with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Your value is his income. Your survival is his financial interest. Somehow that is still better than nothing. You are the most valuable thing in this building. It also means every man you face has been matched to you deliberately, chosen because he is dangerous enough to make the crowd believe it could go either way. Brennus held this rank for 11 years. 2 months ago, he lost a fight he should have won. He's in the infirmary. He won't fight again. You never spent much time thinking about what came after Brennus. Now you think about it every day. You can't step into the arena in 2026, but there's never been a better time to test what you're made of. Today's sponsor is War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, free on PC, all consoles, and mobile. Over 2,500 vehicles across 10 nations. Tanks, planes, helicopters, warships, covering history from the 1920s to the present. The damage system is the best part. It simulates real-world penetration and component failure, and the X-ray kill cam shows you exactly how a shell moved through the armor. 3 modes. Arcade for speed, simulator for full realism, realistic for the balance between both. 95 million players worldwide. Click the link in the description or pinned comment. New players and returning players who haven't played in 6 months get the pack I set up. Multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive Eagle of Valor Decorator, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium account. Free, limited time, PC and console only. Go check it out. Now, back to the arena. Level 7. The Doctor. You hold a whip now instead of a sword. Your fighting days aren't officially over, but the school owner moved you here after your 12th year, and you understood without being told it wasn't a suggestion. Your knees were going. Your reaction time in the 3rd round of a long fight had started to drift by fractions that only you and your old trainer could measure. He measured them. That's why you're here. You train the new recruits and first-year fighters. You watch them attack the post the same way you once did. The same wasted motion, the same dropped elbow, the same habit of stepping back when they should step in. You correct them in the same words your trainer used on you. Sometimes exactly the same words, and you don't know when that started happening. You remember his name. You never told him it mattered. He died in his sleep 3 years after you entered the school. You heard about it secondhand. You can tell which recruits will survive their first bout by the way they plant their feet on the second day. Before technique, before the fear has settled in. You see it in the weight distribution, the stillness between drills, the way certain men go quiet instead of loud when they're afraid. You know which ones will panic in the tunnel when the light hits them. You know which ones will be dead inside a year. You don't tell them which category they're in. There's no version of that conversation that helps. The new recruits watch you like you're something between a torturer and a fixed point in a world with no fixed points. You understand that look now. You were never the torturer. You were just a man who had already been through what they're about to face, trying to reduce the number of them who died before they needed to. Most of them will die anyway. You train them like they won't. Level 8. The Summa Rudis. You carry a baton and a whip. You wear a white tunic with a purple border. You are the senior referee of the games. When two men fight in the sand below, you stand between them, not to shield them, but to ensure they perform the way the crowd paid to see. You watch for illegal moves. You watch for cowardice. A man stalling, covering, refusing to engage. You watch for the moment when a fighter's wounds cross from spectacular into fatal, because that's the line the game's organizer doesn't always see from his box, and the crowd doesn't always want to acknowledge when the blood is up. When that moment comes, you read it. You can stop it, compel them to continue, or defer to the organizer. But you can also act alone. The baton is not decoration. The crowd has learned that when you raise it, something is about to be decided. You received your freedom years ago. A wooden sword handed to you in the arena that meant your fighting was done, that you could walk away if you wanted to. You could have left, gone somewhere quiet, bought land, lived on what you'd saved and what the school owner owed you. Become a bodyguard for a senator who wanted a recognizable face at his side. Some men do exactly that. You stayed. The crowd knows your name almost as well as they know the fighters. There are stone inscriptions with your name in 3 cities. A town in the eastern provinces granted you citizenship last year. You stood at the ceremony holding the document and didn't say much. You watched 2 men circle each other in the sand below. The younger one is flagging. His left shoulder has dropped 2 inches since the midpoint, the muscle failing under the shield's weight. He doesn't know it yet. He'll know it on the next exchange. You raise the baton. The crowd leans forward. This is why you stayed. Level 9. School owner. You own them now. 43 men in your fighting stable. You bought most of them at auction, assessed for build, age, injury history, and the look in their eyes that tells you whether a man has something to prove or has already given up. A few are volunteers who signed contracts. They arrive acting like a contract means something different for them than it does for the slaves. By the second month, they're indistinguishable from everyone else. The contract doesn't change what the cell looks like. Legally, you stand on the same social tier as the bottom of the social food chain. The senators who need you would never say that to your face. They don't need to. You already know. You know exactly where you stand with everyone, which is more than most men in Rome can say. You were a fighter once. The wooden sword they gave you when you earned your freedom sits on the corner of your desk, carved with the names of the contest you survived to earn it. You look at it sometimes when the ledgers are open, when you're calculating the cost of a dead man against the penalty clause, when you're deciding which of your fighters is ready and which one you're about to lose to someone better. You know every man's record, every fight, every wound, every opponent, which ones the crowd follows by name, which ones fill the upper tiers as well as the lower, which ones are 3 fights from the end of their usefulness, and don't know it yet. A good gladiator costs 5,000 sesterces at auction, more to house, feed, train, and keep medically sound. If he dies without a prior agreement, the game's organizer owes you 50 times the daily rental fee. That number is the center of every negotiation you enter. The conversation is always about that number, dressed in other language. Last week, a new recruit named Marcus asked if you had ever been afraid in the arena. You told him everyone is afraid. That fear is what makes it work. You didn't tell him the other thing, that you still dream about the sand, not nightmares. Something that sits in the chest when you wake before the light and you can't tell if it's loss or longing or both at once. That part you keep to yourself. Level 10. The editor. The game's organizer. You've climbed as high as a gladiator can go, but every man you've been, from the recruit to the owner, is still just a piece on a board. To see the final rank, we have to leave the sand and look at the man in the high stone box. The editor. You don't own the gladiators, you hire them. The games are yours to put on. The spectacle, the day this city will talk about for years if you do it right. The school owners come to your people with their rosters and their rates. You review the records, negotiate the contracts, decide which pairings give the crowd what it came for. A funeral games for your father. A gift to the voters 2 months before the polls. A religious festival that falls the same week your name appears on the ballot. Whatever the occasion, your name is attached to what happens in that arena. And the city has a long memory for both the generous and the cheap. You pay per fighter, per day, with penalty clauses for deaths. You've learned to think of it as production cost. You've learned to think of a lot of things in those terms. The crowd will demand deaths. Not every time. A well-fought bout ending in mercy can move 50,000 people as much as a kill. And a crowd that has been given something to admire is more forgiving than one that feels cheated. But sometimes, when the fight has been long and brutal and neither man will yield, the mood shifts. You can feel it from the box. It isn't loud exactly. It's a change in pressure. In those moments, the fighter in the sand raises one finger. He looks up. He is asking you. You watch the crowd. You read the mood. You weigh his record, the political cost of mercy against the cost of cruelty. You decide in about 3 seconds, with everyone watching, and whatever you choose becomes the thing that happened today in your arena with your name on it. The weight of that decision does not get lighter. You thought it would. It doesn't. The sun is high. The sand below is already dark from the morning's beast hunts. The crowd is loose and loud and ready. Below you, 2 men who have spent years learning to do one thing are about to do it in front of everyone. You made this day possible. You funded it, organized it, put your name on every wall in the city announcing it. You're still not entirely sure what that makes you.